able to accept. There you go. Excellent. So thank you for your permission. This has been a full month. I know last week, one church on the line had revival service, so that was a spiritual renewal for them. And now it's time for us this week to talk about mental health is physical health. I always start by asking you, are you using the resources available to you? Healthline and Everyday Health. Those particular resources can answer questions. Just think about what you said earlier, Camille. You were thinking about the cough syrup. You could have probably gone to Healthline and asked that question and
Yeah,
figured something out. So, see, Walter, you and Camille could have saved a conversation, but we had Nurse Deborah on here to make sure you were okay too.
yeah.
So, just a good way to get us started.
We
Uh,
appreciate it too.
That's a good reminder.
yes, don't forget that those resources are out there and available for us. So today, if you look in the mirror and why it's a mirror, Lisa Overton is going to lead this session because this is a part of our discussion this time where we can each take ownership for doing some things that can help us. And I want us to all talk about together in this discussion how we are taking care of our mental health to ensure our physical health and to learn about how our physical health can impact our mental health. Now, that's a two-way street that things are going. So I just wanted to be able to bring this to our attention. So buckle up, come with me, ask questions as we go. What you'll see here is we want to talk about caring for our whole person. So, our core message tonight, as I looked at the resources that we're going to send out to you, were the fact that mental health and physical health are actually not two separate lanes. Actually, they are a part of the same system where we can think about it this way: mental health influences our physical health, and our physical health influences the other. Have you each thought about it that way? Okay, Clay's shaking his head.
Yes,
Anybody else?
definitely. Definitely.
Okay. Anybody else?
I've lived it that way. Let me just say that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Deborah has a thumbs up. Belinda, you trying to come off mute? I see your hand. You're doing a thumbs up too. Okay. We'll come back to some of those experiences. Remember, this is being recorded, so this conversation is bound to help somebody else who's going to listen to it. All right. So I want to start with one simple idea, with it being mental health is physical health. We often talk about the mind, the body, as if they were separate, but like we just said, they're deeply connected. What affects our stress, our emotions, and mental well being can affect that body of ours. And just the opposite is true. So think of your mood, your energy, your focus, hope. That can also affect that way your body operates. Have you noticed? I'm going to say this to each of you: when you're overwhelmed, how your body responds to that, what is happening? Or think of it, your neck can get tight, your shoulders can get tight. Think about being overwhelmed and whether you sleep or don't sleep at night. Think about your appetite. How does it change? What happens? Some of us may eat more, some of us may eat less. Think about the wax and the wane of your energy, how that goes when you may be feeling sluggish because of that mood or something. It's just that simple well, no, complex connection. It's not very simple at all. One reason I want to share that it matters so much that people affected by mental illness, they also face a greater burden of developing or experiencing serious chronic conditions, especially, the things we've been talking about regularly: cardiovascular health and metabolic disease, diabetes, etc. These conditions, I have read, and you may already know, can intensify our mental health symptoms and therefore worsen our quality of life. And even worse than that, it can shorten, yes, shorten our life expectancy. So, as we talk about today, together, our wellness, we cannot afford to talk about only one part of a person. So we must talk about the mental as well as that physical. So that means caring about the mental health is not just our emotions, but it's also about heart health, our blood sugar, our movement, our sleep, our nutrition, and most importantly, how supported each of us as people feel in daily life. In other words, as I started, it's about how whole person health or care truly matters. So, any questions about that, or thoughts, or things you want to add? Belinda?
Um, it also has an impact on how you treat others.
Tell me
It,
more.
it could potentially impact someone else's health because when you are feeling down and out,
Mm-hmm.
someone else becomes concerned about what's going on with you. They don't know if it's mental or physical. And
Mm-hmm.
then it kind of instill in them a sense of trying to figure out or find out what's going on, but it has an impact on them physically and mentally as well because they're trying to figure out everything that's going on with you because they
Mm-hmm.
can see from the outside that there is something that is either upsetting, that's mentally challenging, physically challenging. So they can see the same thing and then the same things going on in them as a result of trying to pay close attention to what's going on with you or happening with you, if that makes sense.
But Linda, I don't know if you were on the call, and Walter and Camille, I'm going to use you as an example. She just described what happened. Deborah, you were a witness. Walter, what did you say? You have a cold, don't you?
Yep.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, he has a cold
uh,
and he's taking cough syrup. And Camille was very concerned about how much he was taking.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I missed that. Okay.
But that's exactly what you're talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
now she's taking on a certain role in
Mm-hmm.
his caregiving. It's
Mm-hmm.
going it's affecting her in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So her, I don't know what you're feeling over there, Camille, but either way, it's exactly, I think, Belinda, if I take this as an example, what you were trying to describe.
May I describe to you in exactly how I felt? I
Yes.
tell you exactly. He takes medication, and I did not want him to be overloaded with this medicine, this liquid medicine, on top of what he already takes. I didn't
Okay.
want that to cause something else, especially since we just experienced his brother's passing. I
Mm,
think it's even more in the
Mm-hmm.
forefront of my mind to protect him
Mm-hmm.
and keep him
mm-hmm.
safe. It's just right here because we saw that happen and it was not. I think we're strengthened because of it because to see life go the way we saw it was something I'll never forget, but also something that I think has made both of us stronger because we're still here and,
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
we're pushing through with God's help. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I am very protective of him
Mhm.
because he's the only son left, and he's my
Mm.
husband. So I'm gonna do all I can to keep him here.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you've
Yeah.
expressed the mental feelings that you have, the concern that you have for him, and
Yes.
it's all related to, not all related, but it's associated with one, the physical that you've witnessed in his family, the passing, the emotional
Mhm.
toll that you've had,
Mhm.
Yes.
and the
Mhm.
fact that we know that Walter has other physical conditions, like many of us have, that
Mhm.
That's
he is having to monitor now.
that's right. Perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
So it's not separate lanes,
It's the
it's the
same way.
same lane.
Mhm.
And that's why it's so important that we talk about this together, because these are things that we have to be able to monitor, not monitor, I don't want to say monitor, have to learn to work on together on our own. It's
Mhm.
not quite, I mean, a pill can't take
Mhm.
care of all these things.
Mhm.
But we can do certain things, I believe, to
Mhm.
help us. Belinda.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, circumstances like this actually, and I'm going to use women as an example.
Mm-hmm.
When we're going through something or dealing with something, we tend to hold it in or hold it close because we don't want family to have to deal with. And we don't want family running back and forth because they have stuff going on in their life. So just the fact that we hold in a lot too, that impacts our mental and physical. I'm sure men do it as well, but I can speak from a woman's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that's I can ask anybody to chime in here, but culturally, that's
Mhm.
something that we as African American women do. And that's culturally something that Asian women do.
Mhm.
I mean, and Hispanic women, other and women in general, as you shared, but it's something that is taken on. But the men have a tendency to also, as protectors, hold everything in
Mhm.
and not
Mhm.
let go or tell us. Clay's hand is raised. Come off, Clay. Tell us, share.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I definitely just want to follow up on what Belinda said
Mm-hmm.
because it is the 100% truth for women and men, and I'm just going to specifically say for Black women and Black men. And what she was describing without using the word is stress. When we hold
Mm-hmm.
all of that in, it is nothing but stress. And stress can be uh, like being an alcoholic, I would say, because once you hold in that stress from today, me personally, it starts bringing up stressful situations, things that you have gone through years in the past. And I know that specifically. And what most people don't realize, stress can be deadly. It can be a deadly disease diagnosis, or however you want to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, everybody is familiar with the term and the acronym PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. That
Mm-hmm.
is not just a wartime or a military term. Uh, any of us can be affected by that post-traumatic, something that happened in the past that is
Mm-hmm.
causing you stress today. So that's what we have to be aware of and recognize that what we are holding in is stress that is not going to be good for us going forward. Uh, Lisa touched on it earlier, how that mental condition can affect everything from from your sleep, your diet, to diabetes. I have experienced all of that just from the stress from working. And again, going through that stress and just wanting to break down and cry. When I got to that breakdown point, with those tears flowing, it brought up all those stressful situations in the past, going back to the day that my sister died, and I did not know
Mm.
how to handle that. I did not know that I could talk to somebody about that situation, and just trying to go through it on my own. So what Belinda said about holding things in, that is nothing but stress, and over time that can be very dangerous and unhealthy for your physical health or your
Clay,
physical person body.
thank you for sharing the personal reality of what that feels like and what it touches physically and mentally. So, what you just reminded me of is that self care is not a luxury. It is a essential part or a vital part of prevention and or treatment, as what you just described. And what Camille said was her caring for Walter was to save his life, because wants to protect him and save his life. All of this is basically what we're trying to do by understanding how this two-way street carries added benefit, the physical part of helping our mental health. So this is not about perfection. Can I repeat this? This is not about perfection. It's about taking small steps together, just like we participated in the walking together, or we did that together. This is about recognizing that small, steady actions can make a difference and matter. We've talked about some of these things. It's about what we eat, it's how we move, and whether we follow up with the healthcare provider. Deborah, you came off mute. Was there something
Uh,
you wanted to share?
Yes, and I was applauding how you talked about the, it's not just one part of the person, the whole piece. And I was excited to hear about the exercise you all spoke of earlier,
Mm-hmm.
continuing to move physically if possible, even when you're not exercising or when you're not on a intentional walk. Also, when we go back to having mentioned the tussin, and for whatever combination of symptoms that was prescribed for, it is also essential that we are hydrating with water, in as much as the person can take in, um, to make sure that the tussin is doing even better job.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the other meds are, whatever the other, what the tussin is indicated for, because there are different symptoms with different people, and our diet and everything goes along with what other meds we are taking. So it's always good to consider what's being given to us in addition to what we already have. And we are to continue to move. And if the medicine is not doing what it is intended for, then we need to be able to talk about it and follow up with our providers. So we have to keep moving because the colds, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's excellent advice. Keep it moving and stay hydrated. Belinda, I know your hand was up.
Yeah.
I want to get to you. Yes.
There's a quote out there, and I may not have it exactly correct, but it says, it's okay to love yourself, take care of yourself, and make yourself a priority. It's actually necessary.
Mm,
And when we learn to love ourselves for all of the right reasons, then you tend to look at your health and your emotional and your physical well-being in a different light. And I think that's what we have to stop and realize, love ourselves, do what we can best for us. It's okay if people say you're being conceited or you're being this or that. No, you're loving yourself because you want to be your best self. And when you do that, you have an impact on your emotional and your physical health.
Belinda, and I'm coming to you, Clay. I see your hand raised. What you just described is why this mirror is here. You are your own best self advocate. It's not selfish. If you don't take care of yourself first, nobody else is going to do that for you. You know, you may have somebody that steps in like Camille, but you have to be willing to do that for yourself too. Claiborne?
Yes, I think I like following Belinda. She activates my brain with her point. But yeah, taking care of yourself. And what I specifically want to mention is to cousin Camille. I know how much Camille cares and loves Walter, and I know how much Walter loves and cares for Camille. But right now, I think from what I'm seeing, Camille is in the position of being caregiver to Walter, and there are so many stories of a person being the caregiver of their loved ones and the stress that they take on or the burden that they take on, and then they end up becoming ill themselves and passing away um, before the person that they're taking care of. So, well, we need to understand that even as caregivers, we have to keep ourselves as the priority because if we're not healthy, uh, then we're not going to be able to properly take care of the person that we love or that we've volunteered or put ourselves in position to take care of. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to make sure that cousin Camille definitely understands that message and is hearing it and is adhering to it. That's all.
That's all. I think that's great that that is something that you share, Clay, to talk about self-care. Um, there are many examples I think that we will all be able to share about that are or share with each other that are unfortunate scenarios of how someone neglected themselves in the way that you said. So let's think about what we can do in a positive way. There's good news, and that's where I'm coming now. There are 5 little things that I want us to think about that are practical. um, you'll hear the recording or you can write these down and they will come. But the first thing that I'm going to land on is still what we were talking about: advocate for your health. The first message is that we advocate for our health. And what it says is that this means your voice, as you said it, Belinda, your voice matters. Also, your questions matter. If you have a concern, if there's something that you don't know, what you um, want to understand, that matters. But even more importantly, when you're going to a healthcare provider, think of it this way: your experience, your lived experience absolutely matters because your experience is your own. So, first point, advocate for your health. Okay? That's going to help your physical health and your mental health. 2, these are small things that we can do. Stay ahead of our health concerns. Listen, you hear me? Listen to what your body is telling you. And if you do not have regular physicals and checkups scheduled, because you are advocating for your health, you should schedule those. That means eye exams, auditory exams, regular physicals. If you have an endocrinologist that you see, schedule it. If you're having itchy ears and throat, get that, go see an otolaryngologist, get that referral. This is how we stay ahead of health concerns. Make sure you get the colonoscopy. Gentlemen, get that PSA checked. Do those things that we know we need to do. Women, mammograms. Both of us are doing the colonoscopy. I challenge you, when your husband comes home from the physical, your boyfriend or your loved one, ask him to tell you his PSA so you can keep track of his PSA for him. All right? We good, Walter? Clay, you gonna tell your spouses the PSA? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's what we want. Now, something that we talked about on a while ago is be comfortable talking with your care team, your treatment team, those who you see. Feel comfortable openly talking about your medications, the treatment options. That is this available to me? Is there something else that I might be able to do? And most importantly, when you're talking to your care team, openly tell them how you feel. I don't feel good today. Think of if they don't ask you, tell them I'm mediocre today. Or, this week has been a great week. It doesn't have to be bad. This was great. So the next time you come and you're not feeling so good, there's a perspective that care team will have and understand you better. But talk to them openly. This allows your team, your physicians, your nurse practitioner, your RNs to understand and do what we're talking about. Work with your whole picture as it's seen, not part of it. If you don't talk about how you're feeling, they can't gauge that mental health and know how it might be having an effect on, what did we say? Your heart, your diabetes, your cholesterol, all those other things.
Lisa,
Yes.
we have to be careful about making our health team or care team our best friends and our neighbors and our girlfriends, because they give advice that can make life a little bit more
Oh,
difficult than it needs to be. So, and that becomes stressful. So if you're going to have a care team, have a
That's
certified
right.
licensed care team and not just
Yes.
your best friends or
Yeah.
your girlfriends.
so
Yeah.
thank you for clarifying, because my care team that I was thinking of were physicians and
Mhm.
actual providers. So let
Yes.
me state this for the recording, that when we talk about care team, treatment team, these are professionals that you are going to see, that you are openly communicating about your feelings, as
Mm-hmm.
well as talking about the health issues and symptoms that you may be having.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
I agree. Here we go again, Belinda. Once again. I just have to follow up and agree 100% with what Belinda is saying, because a lot of people, I'll just say it, make the mistake, and they just talk to their best friend, or they hear about somebody else who may be suffering from the same thing that they're suffering from, and they hear what a remedy that they are trying, and say, "Oh, and Mary Jane is trying all of that, so let me try it too."
Mhm.
Every remedy, even though you're suffering from maybe the same symptoms, but every remedy is not for every person, regardless of if your symptoms may be the same. So you need that professional care team to know you personally, so they can help you determine what remedy is best for you.
Perfect. That is awesome. So we're on number 3. Advocate for your health was 1. Stay ahead of your health concerns was number 2. Communicate with your healthcare professional care treatment team. And now the next one is what Deborah said about physical activity and food. Use food and physical activity / movement as tools. Food and movement, yes, are tools that we can use. We are highlighting the fact that it when you eat certain things or move, it can help us manage symptoms that we have. I think, Deborah, you already highlighted this as well with the water, and it can prevent some things or improve chronic conditions. So thank you for taking the minutes to share about our movement and the water. And the final one, I think none of you on this call has a problem with this, but we are to make connections with others. We are not to live in isolation. We are to, one, we are not to do life alone. We are not to do our health alone. Okay? Sometimes we might not want to share that, okay, my cholesterol went up to such and such, my sugar was such and such. Oh, I've had some excessive diarrhea. Oh no, I've been constipated. These are things that with our family, we need to share some of these things because somebody might understand and it might be the incentive that we need to go to the doctor. So involving our family in what's happening with us and appropriately, Belinda, involving friends, you know, in certain things, goals you may have as it relates to activity or eating or not doing, or hey, Belinda, call me and make sure at 8:30 I really go to bed. I'm on my way to bed because I said I was going to start going to bed earlier. Those things. There are ways that we can engage or involve our friends to make sure that we are doing the best that we can. So those were 5 practical tips that were easy. And look in the mirror and tell yourself those 5 tips, those things that we can support. Okay? All right. So if there's something you want to share, please at this time. So we know now that our mental and physical health are connected. There are 2 videos that I was thinking, we have time that I wanted to share with you. The first one is the biological bridge. It helps us think about, it's about 8 minutes long, guys, and it helps us think about the real connection between our brain and our body. And then there was an interview that was done between Harbor Health, a physician and a uh, what do you call those people? Anchor person in Texas. It was taken during the time of the major flood. So there were some health things, mental things that were going on. I thought it was a great example of the connectivity and how things are linked. People who had depression and their diabetes and things that were going out of whack. But these are 2 things that show us how our whole body, whole person care matters. So I'm going to try to show this video. Let me see
So
if I can.
while you're pulling the video up, I just want to reinforce what you said about advocating for self, because we all know that we know our body better than anybody. And
Yeah,
what better way to advocate for yourself is to pay attention to what's going on. I mean, and you all know this. Pay attention to the signs, pay attention to what's going on, because you know when something is occurring that's not normal for you. And a lot of times we just overlook that. So that's part of advocating for ourselves as well.
that is. Very clear. I'm gonna see if you can hear this. Let me know. I'm using, I don't know where the audio might be on this one, but we'll see what happens.
Diabetes in Israel. If you are a Christian and don't know that type 2
This is
reversal
the
is in the
ad. You know,
Bible,
I found
read the
this on
scriptures
YouTube.
again.
Can you hear
This
it?
drink mentioned more than 30 times in the scriptures is
Yes.
known as insulin
Okay.
olive.
Okay.
You know,
We
we've
can't
all heard the
see it
saying,
though.
healthy body, healthy
You
mind.
can't see
Makes
it? Hold
intuitive
on.
sense, right? But
Hold
what
on.
if it's way more than just a
Hold.
feeling? What if it's a
Let me see what I can do to reshare. Okay.
Can you expand it with the two arrows, the
I
diagonal?
will as soon as
Okay.
sorry, Clay. Thank you.
Oh, no
I will
problem.
absolutely share again. Share my screen.
Okay. It's
All
coming.
right. And then hold tight. I got all this stuff to close. No thanks. And
hardwired
are you
biological
seeing
fact?
it now?
Well, a flood of new research is showing us just that. A
Yeah.
powerful physical
Okay.
bridge that
Uh-oh,
directly
did it
connects
go
what's
away?
happening in our bodies to our mental well-being,
No, we
especially
can
when we
see
talk
it.
about depression.
Oh,
So
okay.
today, let's follow the evidence and explore how this incredible connection actually works.
Not now.
So let's
Not
just
now?
get right to the heart of it
No,
and
it's
ask
gone
the
now.
big question.
Oh,
Can a physical
wait.
illness in your body literally create the symptoms of depression in your brain? And I don't just mean feeling bummed out because you're sick.
Can you see
We're
it?
talking about a much deeper
No.
biochemical link.
You
Think
can
of it
hear
like
it.
a detective story. We're going to
Hold
follow the
tight.
clues.
All right, I got to learn how to share on this Zoom. Okay. Share. Share the screen. Now I'm going to go to this document and I'm going to click on this link and open it.
You know, we've all heard the
Yeah.
saying,
Can you see
healthy
it now?
body, healthy mind.
Perfect.
And it kind of makes
Okay.
intuitive sense, right? But what if it's way more than just a feeling? What if it's a hardwired biological fact? Well, a flood of new research is showing us just that. A powerful physical bridge that directly connects what's happening in our bodies to our mental well-being, especially when we talk about depression. So today, let's follow the evidence and explore how this incredible connection actually works. So let's just get right to the heart of it and ask the big question. Can a physical illness in your body literally create the symptoms of depression in your brain? And I don't just mean feeling bummed out because you're sick. We're talking about a much deeper biochemical link. Think of it like a detective story. We're going to follow the clues and see if we can crack this case. Okay, here's our first clue. Look at this number, 2/3. A really striking study found that 2 out of every 3 middle-aged or older adults with major depression also have cardiovascular disease. That's not a small overlap. That's a massive connection that's just too big to ignore. And our next clue, this little multiplier, 2x. Turns out, if you have diabetes, your risk of developing depression can literally double. But what's really fascinating here is that it's a two-way street. Depression also raises your risk of getting diabetes. Now, when you see something like that, it's a huge hint that there's some kind of shared underlying biology at play. This chart really drives the point home, especially when we look at autoimmune diseases. Someone with a severe case of rheumatoid arthritis is 6 times more likely to have depression than someone with a mild case. 6 times! So it really makes you wonder, right? Is this just about the emotional toll of being sick? Or is the disease itself sending signals that are physically changing the brain? To find out, we need to investigate our first major biological suspect. Let's call it the body's emergency alarm, the complex system that controls how we react to stress. The official name for this system is the HPA axis. Now, that's a mouthful, but all you really need to know is that it's the main circuit that kicks into gear when you're stressed. It's the system that tells your body to pump out that famous stress hormone, cortisol. Now, when you're healthy, this whole thing works like a beautifully elegant feedback loop. Your brain sounds the alarm, the signal goes down the chain, and your adrenal glands release cortisol. And here's the brilliant part. That cortisol then travels back to the brain and basically says, okay, crisis averted, you can turn off the alarm now. It has a built-in off switch. So what happens when that alarm gets stuck in the on position? Well, that's exactly what can happen with chronic long-term stress. That beautiful feedback loop breaks. The off switch stops working, and your body and your brain just get flooded with cortisol 24/7. And we don't have to guess what this does to the mind. We have direct clinical proof. Look at a condition like Cushing's syndrome, where the body makes way too much cortisol. What are the symptoms? Depression, mania, anxiety. Now look at Addison's disease, where there's too little cortisol. Same story, depression and anxiety. This is a direct causal link. Messing with cortisol levels has a huge impact on mental health. Okay, let's move on to our second suspect in this mystery. This clue is all about your immune system, which you can think of as your body's security force, and specifically what happens when that security force gets stuck on permanent high alert. So many of the physical illnesses we've already talked about, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, they all share one thing in common. They put the body in a state of low-grade chronic inflammation. It's like a quiet, constant alarm bell that's always ringing, sending a steady stream of danger signals from the body right up to the brain. And the pattern is just impossible to miss. Check out this list of inflammatory diseases, from MS to lupus to IBD. They're all strongly, consistently linked to higher rates of depression. It's almost like wherever we find chronic inflammation smoldering in the body, we find a higher risk for depression in the mind. So how are these danger signals actually being sent? Well, the messengers have a name. They're called pro-inflammatory cytokines. These are the molecules your immune system uses to sound the alarm. And what researchers find time and time again is that in both chronic physical illness and in major depression, the levels of these little alarm bells are way up. Okay, now hold on, because this is where it gets really, really cool. To get this next part, we need to meet a molecule called tryptophan. It's an amino acid, but here's what's crucial. It's the raw material, the essential building block that your brain uses to make the famous mood-regulating neurotransmitter serotonin. So here is the aha moment. When those inflammatory signals, those cytokines, reach the brain, they switch on an enzyme called IDO. And IDO does something absolutely wild. It hijacks tryptophan. It literally steals it and pulls it away from the serotonin-making factory, so the end result, inflammation in your body can directly cause less serotonin in your brain. This isn't a theory, it's a direct biological pathway. All right, so we have our two main culprits, a haywire stress system and a chronically inflamed immune system. But here's the plot twist. They're not working alone. They are partners in crime, locked in a vicious cycle. Let's look at how they feed off each other. It turns out chronic stress actually makes your body more inflammatory. And at the exact same time, those inflammatory cytokines circle back and mess with the HPA axis, making your brain resistant to cortisol's attempts to calm everything down. It's a terrible feedback loop where each system just makes the other one worse. So who's the agent on the ground inside the brain, the one translating all this chaos from the body into actual changes in the mind? Meet the microglia. These are the brain's very own resident immune cells, and they're the critical go-betweens, constantly sensing that flood of stress hormones and cytokines coming from the body. And when these microglia get activated by all those distress signals, they spring into action. They start pumping out even more inflammatory cytokines right there inside the brain. They produce damaging molecules, and you guessed it, they are the ones who drive that tryptophan steal that lowers your serotonin. They are physically changing the brain's entire environment. So when you put all of these clues together, the out of control stress axis, the chronic inflammation, and the activated microglia in the brain, we've pretty much cracked the case. And what it gives us is a revolutionary new way to think about and even treat depression. And if you want the smoking gun, here it is. This quote comes from a landmark study. Researchers gave a powerful anti-inflammatory drug to people with depression that wasn't responding to other treatments. And it only worked for one specific group, the patients who already had high levels of inflammation in their blood. This is incredible. It shows that for some people, inflammation isn't just a side effect, it's the actual target for treatment. And this is opening up such an exciting new frontier. Scientists are now testing all kinds of things, from powerful new drugs to everyday stuff like statins, aspirin, and omega-3 fatty acids, all with the same goal: treat the brain by calming the inflammation in the body. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? What's the bottom line? It's that the evidence is becoming absolutely undeniable. The mind is not separate from the body. By directly going after these physical problems, inflammation and stress, we can unlock brand new and potentially much more effective ways to heal the mind. And this all leaves us with one last massive question to think about. If all this science is showing us that the body and mind aren't just connected, but that they are literally one single biological system, then how do we use that knowledge to completely rebuild our entire approach to mental health care?
If you need to lose that cortisol belly,
What?
do
I'm
these
gonna cut it
5
off.
Tai Chi moves every morning for
Let
2
me-
minutes each.
Let
I'm
me find
62,
it.
and today I'm done with the gym, starting Tai Chi at home.
Stop.
This is me after 28 days. My back pain.
There we go. Okay. I thought that was very interesting to show us that bridge. It had a lot of big words, had a lot of big stuff in it, had a lot of science in it. But I thought that what it clearly illustrated was the connectivity between our physical health and our mental health, whether we understand inflammation or cytokines and depression or whatever. But there are obviously the things that we can do to work on both. And we've been working together to figure that out. So let me, what did you learn from that, or what did you see that was different for you about the connection between the mind and the body? If it went way over your head, that's good too. If it was like, no, it was way too much, that's fine. But, what did you get?
When she talked about the inflammation piece, she kind of lost me, because a lot of times we don't know if there's inflammation and what's causing it. We tend to take, ibuprofen for a little inflammation, but she makes it sound like it may have a bigger impact than we even gave consideration to,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, what she really alluded to was that there is a pathway that goes out of whack.
Mm-hmm.
And so what she kind of related it to was not mild inflammation, but for those situations where it is chronic, like irritable bowel syndrome, like lupus, like what did she name? I can't think of all of the other ones, but the other inflammatory diseases that are there, that high level of inflammation can trigger that brain to go out of whack too, and do the same thing in the brain that will have the mental result that the body has physically.
So if someone's at that stage in their life that they have those high levels, so some medical person should be taking care of that kind of inflammation. And so, and I guess my question is, do they recognize, or are they able to tell that there's a connect or disconnect going on in your body from certain responses that your body may give off? I mean, they know that that you have whatever the disease is, and they know what it causes, and they know that inflammation is involved. So are they treating the condition as well as the potential for what it could cause,
So here's my answer, and Deborah, you can check me on this. But what you are saying is what I recommended and suggested in your care team. You remember that third point?
Mm-hmm.
When I said to you, talk about your feelings, how you are feeling today. that is one signal or sign that a HCP or provider can understand. If you have lupus, not everybody is going to have depression, but Belinda, what you're asking is, would they know? They may know that there is the tendency for there to be depression, but if you don't come in and talk about how you are feeling or how your day has been or what's going on, they won't know.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know that many clinicians track high inflammation and mental health. I don't know that. But guess what? We do now. So we understand, looking in the mirror, I'm feeling a little low. I have lupus, and this isn't a good day for me. And yesterday wasn't either, and such and such and such. Something can be doing. Maybe he needs to check my meds. Is it checking is my inflammation in check? Is it better, of not? Is it causing that? Or, I've been a little depressed and my arms and bones are aching a little bit more than they normally do with my rheumatoid arthritis, because that's another one. Things like that. But those are just areas that we can be empowered, I feel, to better understand it's not just one road. I mean, two roads, it's one singular road, and things can be happening to our bodies.
So that's why also, Lisa, it's extremely important when we're talking to our caregivers that we know the side effects or the potential side effects for any kind of medication that we're taking, because it may have something to do with our mental health as well.
Exactly. It really does. I mean, I took us down a scientific road today just because I thought that it was important to really understand that someone is not just saying to you that this happens.
So, Walter, when Camille questioned you about the potential side effects of that medication that you were taking, hopefully you were listening to her, because I'm sure the pharmacist didn't tell you all of the side effects when you bought that medication.
Thank you.
We're not helping you, are we, Walter? No. Well, I'm not going to show the other video. I'll have the link sent out, with the follow-up if you want to watch it. But it does talk about the link between depression and diabetes and cardiovascular disease. This one was more of a teaching one that showed that. So I hope for those on the call that understanding a real different kind of link during Mental Health Awareness Month, this was something that will inspire you to connect with people, take the 5 steps that you need in order to do something for your mental health, for your physical health, or your physical health for your mental health. Okay, so thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining today. I thought we would do this together instead of bringing an expert in from NAMI or something. And you all taught me a lot, and we learned from each other's practical experiences. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, each session heightens our awareness, because we tend to let things go over our heads so often. And your sessions causes us to focus and to realize, even if we may never have to use the information in specific, but just that awareness of the potential of things happening,
Yeah. You can help somebody else along the road. You might say, oh, I remember something from that. Yeah. But you all take care. Have a good evening. It's 7:30. We went a little over. Thank you for joining. And it'll be on the recording, and we'll send something out. So bye, everybody.
Bye.
Enjoy your conference.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you,
Oh,
Lisa,
thank
and
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, Lisa. Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa,
Yes.
um, is it true that there's a correlation between people who take a statin and plaque that